Publishing on Amazon KDP is like a war, and I'm going to show you in this video how me and my clients are able to win that war every single time. Now, I'm going to show you the exact strategy that me and my clients are using to scale brand new books from $0 to $1,000 per month, if not more, within 60 to 90 days roughly. It usually takes around 90 days to reach your first 1,000. However, the same strategies that I'm going to talk about in this video, you can apply it to existing books and scale those existing books. You don't have to publish a brand new book. You can just simply apply small changes, small tweaks to existing books. And obviously you can reap the benefits of scaling that book. But anyway, before we even start the war, the first thing we want to do is select the country that we want to conquer, or essentially the land. I'm not going to say country because there's a bunch of World War III things going on. So I'm not going to talk about a random piece of land. So when we're ready to conquer a random piece of land, we're not the only people that are going to go on that land. There's multiple different countries or just other pieces of land, I guess. I don't know. Hopefully you understand this analogy, but we'll see as this goes. But essentially, here we have one type of country, essentially. Here we have another type of country. I'm going to draw these random patterns so you know that it's different each time. This is another country, and then this is another one. And essentially, there might be some empty space right here on this land that no one has conquered yet. So we want to go inside and conquer this brand new land. However, when we do decide to go in it, it's not just going to be all like sunshine and fairy tales. It's going to be a little bit difficult because these countries around us are going to try and conquer us before we get to conquer the country, because we're going to have people trying to destroy us, competitors. And that's exactly what it's like publishing on Amazon KDP. As soon as we find a niche, this land is the niche. We're not the only people publishing in that niche. If we are, it's probably not the best niche to publish in. So what we want to do is we're going to find the land that we want to conquer. We're going to go inside, and then we are expecting to compete with other people. It's expected. You should compete with other people. It's necessary. If there aren't other people to compete with, it's probably not a good niche. Now, one of the biggest mistakes I made early on is trying to find a niche with no competition. Because then I was thinking, oh, but if I publish in a niche with no competition, then I'm going to be the only one and I'm going to make all the money. Now, maybe that might happen. But again, at the end of the day, we're trying to run a business. We're not trying to basically try and get lucky. We don't want to get lucky. We want to have a clear strategy that works. We're running a business, a long-term business. We want to do things that are proven time and time again. So instead of publishing in a niche with no competition, we're going to publish in a niche with books that are already making money. However, we're just going to make a better book in that niche so we can conquer these guys. However, let me not get too ahead of myself. So the first step we need to do in order to conquer this country is actually send some soldiers on this land. And how are we going to do that? Probably with a bunch of helicopters. By the way, I don't really know anything about war, so don't judge me in this video. The war analogies that I'm going to be using are probably not the best war analogies, but I'm not a war expert. I know how to publish books. So in this video, we're going to be talking about how to publish books. Not really the war side. The war is just an analogy so you can understand the overall process of publishing a book. So what are we going to do? We're going to go on this land. We're going to drop some soldiers with their little parachutes. I went to the army, but hopefully I wasn't in thankfully, I wasn't in the section where they jump off the airplanes or the helicopters. Well, that's scary. I would not want to do that. I don't even know how they do that. I actually met someone. He said he tried skydiving. It was the best experience of his life. And I'm sure it is. I'm sure the adrenaline rush gets to you. But again, not for me. I'm the computer guy. I'm okay with staying at home, wearing my robe, having a coffee in the air condition, and then just making money from KDP. I don't need to jump off planes. But anyway, we're going to throw in some soldiers. And guess what? These soldiers are our frontline soldiers. This is what happens in war as well, I think. Again, don't judge my war analogies. But essentially, what's the front line? The front line is where your soldiers are against the opposition soldiers. This is essentially the front line. Now, the front line is so important because if the enemy destroys your front line, great. You messed up. You messed up really bad, because then that means the enemy can actually go inside and then it can go and conquer all the other things behind your front line. Your front line is almost like a defense shield. If it's broken, then it has access to everything inside, almost like a bank vault. If they open the vault, then they have access to all the money. So if you lose the front line, nothing else matters. You basically lost the war. So the front line is so important, both in war and with KDP. But when it comes to KDP, what is your front line? Well, in war, your front line is the first thing, your first line of defense. It's the first interaction that the enemy has with you. It's the first way it can start killing people. Essentially, the opposition will start killing you. It's the first way it can kill you. without having to send any bombs or anything like that. Frontline soldiers shooting each other, and then some of them are dying. I hope this video doesn't take like a dark turn. I don't want this to be like a dark video. I just want it to be more, it's like a fun analogy, even though war is not fun. But anyway. So your first line of defense is the first interaction the enemy has with you or your soldiers. The same applies to KDP. Now, when it comes to KDP, what's the first interaction a shopper has? Well, as soon as someone searches your book, the first thing they see is your book cover. That's their first interaction. So your book cover is your first line, your frontline soldier. This is your frontline soldier. If you mess up the book cover, nothing else you do matters. Nothing else you do matters. It doesn't matter if you run ads correctly. If you have a bad book cover, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter if all your marketing is done correctly. You have a bad cover, doesn't matter. You might have published in one of the most profitable niches out there. If you have a bad book cover, doesn't matter. So your book cover is your frontline soldier. This has to be solid in order for the rest to work. Just like your frontline soldiers have to keep the line, or if not push the line forward into the enemy in order to actually win the war. If you mess up that line, very, very hard to recover from that. Now, how do we make sure that our book cover is good enough to actually publish? Well, I could literally sit here for like 7 hours just talking about book covers, but we don't have 7 hours. So I'm going to give you 2 main principles that you need to think about. The 2 main things on your book cover that you need to pay attention to. Now, the first one, very, very simply, is your font. I'm not going to go too deep into fonts. If you want to know more about fonts, you can click on the thing that just popped up over there. If you click on that, it's going to take you to a video where I talk about book covers. You can figure out some book cover principles. Super valuable video. Definitely watch it if you haven't watched it. You're going to be able to fix your book covers instantly, and it will increase your sales because of it. But anyway, fonts. Fonts have a specific feeling associated with them. So when you see a font, you have a specific feeling. Check out this image right here. Can you see how it's saying the exact same thing, both on the top and on the bottom? However, because the font is different, you read it almost like in a creepy way, one of them. So the one that looks like blood is like a creepy way. And the other one, which is more calligraphy, is more like romantic, essentially. They say the exact same thing, but the font gives you a different feeling. When it comes to our book cover, we want the font to give the feeling that we want it to give. We don't want to give the wrong feeling. So if we have a friendly book, we're going to choose a friendly font. Friendly fonts can be sans serif fonts, and then more formal fonts can be serif fonts. Again, I'm not going to go too deep into fonts. If you click on that video, it goes a little bit deeper. But for now, we're just going to stick with this. Fonts, super, super important. Focus on your font. By the way, if you have a book cover, like if you're trying to skip this section right now and say, oh, you know, my font is good, I don't need to switch my font. Great. If you have a book cover and you haven't tested at least 10 fonts minimum with your book cover, go back and test out 10 fonts. Your book cover is probably not as good as it can be. If you have only tested 1 or maybe 2 fonts, great. You have another 8 fonts to test out. Go test out fonts. How do you know you picked the best font if you only tested out 1 or 2 fonts? Doesn't make any sense. Test out 8, test out 10, test out 30 if you want. The more you test out, the better. And obviously, this is so important. It's so psychological. Now, the second thing is obviously your main image. These are essentially the only 2 things that actually make up your book cover. Obviously, there's more things that you can add. There's other layers you can add. There's things you can do to amplify the book cover. But essentially, if you boil it down, your book cover is just a bunch of text and a main image. So the main image, I see so many publishers getting the main image wrong. When you're very, very new to design, then you don't really know consciously what main image would look best on the book cover. So you kind of get creative with it. It's like, okay, so from what I've seen, when I talk to a new publisher and they're designing their book covers themselves, when they pick their main image, they usually don't consciously think about the book title or what the book is about and the main image as one. They think about it as separate things. They think about the book cover with the title and the font as a separate thing from the main image. What do I mean by this? Because that's probably the worst explanation I could possibly give. Okay, so I had a publisher that I was working with, and they're part of my community. And inside the community, what they did is they shared their book cover. And their book cover was essentially a how to scale a business fast. So that was literally the title. How to scale a business fast. Now, just reading this title, you're probably thinking, okay, well, what main images can I put in? Well, the main image that they decided to go with was a Formula One driver. You see, this was like the helmet. That's supposed to be a helmet. And then they were like crossing their arms. Man, I can't draw cross stars. Yeah, that's difficult. Okay. Pretend that their arms are crossed. Okay. So it was literally just a Formula One driver. And then I'm thinking, okay, why did you decide to put, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. But why did you decide to put a Formula One driver for a business book on scaling? And their answer was, well, because I want people to see that it was fast. And I'm thinking, yeah, but fast isn't like what the book is about. It's just an extra benefit. Sure, like I get the idea of like, hey, fast, let's put a Formula One driver, they're fast. But if I see a book cover where the main image is a Formula One driver, I'm assuming it's a Formula One book. I'm not trying to, you shouldn't make it like a puzzle piece that people have to kind of put together. This isn't like some complex mystery that you want the viewer to solve. You want everything crystal clear in their face. If I see this book cover and I see a Formula One driver, it's a Formula One book. I don't care what the title says because I see a Formula One driver. I'm going to see with my eyes first and then I'm going to read. So because I'm going to see with my eyes first, main image has to be crystal clear. Now, how would we fix this? If the book cover or the book title is how to scale the business fast, then great. I'm thinking a person looking for this book, what do they expect on the book cover? What do they want to see? Well, they want to scale their business. Why do they want to scale their business? Because they want to make more money. Great. So, because I know what they want, what they're looking for, then I can switch the main image and have something that says something about business or scaling or money. Now, I don't know if you've ever seen the Conor McGregor magazine shot. There's like one where he's sitting on piles of money or he's kind of throwing money or something like that. If we took Conor McGregor with the money in the background, slapped it on here instead of the Formula One driver, and then the title said how to scale a business fast, great. That's a much better book cover because the main image actually matches with the title. It's very, very important. So take a look at your book covers and then read your title and then think, is there a better main image that I can add? Or is this the best possible one? And also, second step, this is the easiest way you can figure this out, by the way. Easiest way you can figure this out. Take away your title from the book cover. Take it away completely. Take away your subtitle, take away everything. If you want, replace it with random text. Replace it with lorem ipsum. If you don't know lorem ipsum, it's like I don't even know how to write it, but it's like the fake text. It's just like filler text. So replace your title with random words, random letters, just so you have the font and the feeling. And then put your main image there. And then show it to someone. If you show it to someone and they can tell what the book is about without reading the title, just by looking at the main image, great, you have a good main image. If you show it to them and then they can't even guess what the book is about or what the subject of the book is, great, you need to change your main image. So in this case, you would just assume it's a Formula One driver. Anyway, our Frontline Soldiers, essentially our book cover, that's super, super solid. It's time to move on to step 2. So because the Frontline Soldiers are super, super solid, they know what they're doing, they're holding their line, no one is attacking us, great. What's the second step? Well, the second step is to actually be able to support those soldiers. So essentially when it comes to war, we're looking for food supplies and then hospitals as well, or like nurses and things like that. Because guess what? The frontline soldiers are out there fighting with their guns and everything. There's another gun that they hold. They usually hold like a longer gun, but I can't draw. This guy's holding a bazooka. Great. So if the soldiers are all battling, well, eventually they're going to want to eat food, right? Now, behind the front line is where all the hospitals are and the shelter and the food, and they get food, they ship it to the soldiers, they can start eating, and then also if any of the soldiers in the front line get injured, then great. Someone can come there, pick them up, bring them back to the hospital, and then fix them up. But again, if we break the front line, if the enemy breaks the front line, they're going to come after the hospitals and the food, and then basically, I don't know how you recover from there. So, as long as the soldiers are holding the front line, then we can move on to step 2, which is the food and the hospital. Now, when it comes to KDP, what does that represent? I don't know if represent is the correct word, but when it comes to KDP, the thing that's going to support your book, because again, we have a good book cover, so we're getting a lot of clicks, people actually attracted to it. Because we have a good book cover, the second thing is we need to have the correct SEO. Now, what is SEO? SEO is very simple. Search engine optimization, which is, well, this is not the most simple way I could have said it, but essentially this is just keywords. So what Amazon's going to do is it's going to take a look at the keywords that you associate it with, and then based on the keywords that you give it, it's going to understand what your book is about and where it's going to give your book to, who it's going to show it to. If I give Amazon the keyword, actually not AI book, this is a better example. If I give Amazon the keyword cookbook, great. Do you know what my book is? Or you might say, oh, but it's a cookbook. Great. What type of cookbook is it? You have no idea, right? It might be a Mexican cookbook. It might be an Indian cookbook. It could be any cookbook whatsoever. It might not even be a cookbook related to a country. It might be a cookbook for beginners, or a cookbook for college students, or university students, or for experts, or for upcoming chefs. It might be an advanced cookbook. It can be anything. So because I give Amazon a not so optimized keyword is relevant, but it's not 100% what my book is about, then Amazon doesn't really know where to show your book. However, in the backend keywords, if I give Amazon Indian cookbook and then Indian cookbook for beginners, Indian cookbook, can't think of any other words right now, but Indian cookbook for kids or Indian cookbook, blah, 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 easy Indian cookbook. If I give it all of these keywords, what are the chances Amazon's going to show my cookbook when someone's searching Mexican cookbook? Very rare. It's not going to show it, and it shouldn't show it because that's not who we're targeting. Especially when we have Indian dishes on the book cover because we picked the correct main image before, then obviously Amazon's going to show us only for Indian cookbooks in front of people that are only searching for Indian cookbooks. If you want a very simple formula to know if your keywords are good or not, here's a simple formula. Your keywords should include your niche, they should also include your sub-niche, and they should also include your target audience. So any keyword that includes all three of these is automatically a very good keyword for your book. Obviously, it must be relevant. Don't give it wrong information. So the niche, our niche is cookbook. What about the sub-niche? Sub-niche is a more targeted version of that niche. So cookbook is a niche, everything around is a sub-niche. In our case, we have an Indian cookbook, specifically an Indian cookbook. And then our target audience, who is this for? Beginners. Any keywords that have these three in, or at least these two in, are good keywords. They're keywords that we can actually put in our backend. We can put in our description. I'm not going to go super in-depth in how to actually optimize SEO. Very, very long video. However, we want our keywords that we're going to put in our description, our SEO, our backend keywords. We want it to be relevant because the way Amazon looks at your keywords and actually shows you in front of the correct audience is using relevance. If you give Amazon keywords that are not relevant to your book, it might show it. It's going to get the data to see that it doesn't work, and it's never going to show you again for those keywords anyway. We don't want that. We want relevant keywords. So if your keywords have your niche as sub-niche, minimum, especially when you're launching your book, if they have your niche as sub-niche in the keyword, so Indian cookbook, blah, 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 or blah, 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 Indian cookbook, or even blah, 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 Indian cookbook, blah, blah, blah. Or it can even be blah, 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 Indian, blah, 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 cookbook. I hope you understand what I'm saying. I hope that makes sense. But if it has at least minimum these two, it's a good keyword. If it has all three of these, it's a good keyword. If it has the sub-niche and the target audience, it's a good keyword because all of these are relevant. However, if you only have the niche, if you just target cookbook, it might, it's too broad. Like it's going to pick up cookbook anyway from the other keywords. But again, you're not really helping Amazon show you in the correct place. And a lot of people might say, Barry, I want to show everywhere. And it's like, sure, but maybe not too early on. If you have 20 reviews, you don't want to be shown next to books, like cookbooks that have like 12,000 reviews. You're going to be spending so much money on ads and not converting very well. But again, I have to look at accounts face to face because there's so many different things that can happen with ads anyway. But again, hopefully I'm going to try not to get off track. I can feel my ADHD starting to act up now. I just had a sip of coffee as well. I'm going to go have another sip then. It's already happening anyway. So if it's already happening, then might as well just go all in, right? I got the coffee, barely got any coffee left. As soon as I finish this, you're going to see by the end of this video, I'm going to be flying. So essentially, we're giving relevant keywords to Amazon because we want to help Amazon. If we help Amazon, Amazon will help us. If we give Amazon the wrong keywords, it will put it in front of the wrong people, and the wrong people would click on it, or most people might not even click on it because it's not relevant in the first place for them to click on it. But even the people that do, then they're going to realize, hey, this isn't what I'm looking for, and they're just not going to buy it. But what Amazon's going to see, Amazon's going to see, oh, people are clicking on it and not buying, it's a bad book. It's not going to see, hey, it's not relevant, let's test out the good keywords because we gave it the wrong keywords to begin with. I hope that makes sense. This whiteboard is getting super, super dark. But anyway, so we have our frontline soldiers. Let me actually do it here just so we don't forget the timeline. So we have our frontline soldiers. They're holding the line. No one's attacking us. Well, they're attacking us, but we're holding the line. They can't access our food and hospital. And then we have the food and hospital, or the nurses in this case, helping out our frontline soldiers. So you can see we're working backwards. This is helping each other out. Again, we have our book cover, and then we have our SEO all done. So they're helping out each other. Great. Now we are getting something called clicks. Why are we getting clicks? Because in order for us to get clicks, first we need to show up in the correct place. This is supposed to be an eye. Let me take this away. This looks more like an eye. There we go. So first they have to see our book. In order for them to see our book, we need to be relevant and SEO has to be correct in order for them to actually see our book. Amazon to show us in the correct place. Now, once they see it, because the right people are seeing it, then some of them can click it. Why? Because our book cover is solid, because we picked the correct main image that actually resonates with the audience and actually shows what our book is about. And because they're already looking for that book, they see that that's the book that they're looking for, they're going to click on the book. Great. Now that we did this part, now we can move on to actually start getting the sale. This is when we start attacking. Now, when it comes to war, before we start attacking, what's the one thing we need to do before we attack the enemy? Well, we're not just going to start throwing missiles out of nowhere and start just shooting randomly and hopefully bullets start hitting people. No, first, we need to find the enemy position. We need to find where the enemy is. We need to understand, what are their weaknesses? What kind of bombs do they have? What bombs do we have? Are we more powerful? Are they more powerful? What are their advantages? What are their weaknesses? What are our advantages? What's our weaknesses? How are they going to kill us? We don't want them to kill us. So we need to understand the enemy as much as possible. Do you think people go to war without knowing anything about the enemy? No, they got like secret spies and things. You get me? It's like they got people trying to dig up secrets, because the more secrets they have, the easier it is to attack the enemy. It's exactly the same with Amazon KDP. Now, guess what? If I'm publishing a book and then I'm not even looking at what's out there, I'm not looking at the enemy, I'm not looking at the competitors, then how do I know that what I'm doing is actually good? It doesn't make any sense. Just like if you're not going to attack someone that you don't know where their position is, you're not going to attack someone if you don't know what type of things they have, if they're going to attack you back even stronger. You need to be aware, just like you need to be aware of your competitors. So we need to analyze our competitors. Competitor analysis, very, 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 very important. And most new publishers won't do this. So if you're not doing this, start doing it today. Now, before I go deep into this, we need to understand who our competitors are. This is one of the biggest mistakes. I've been doing this mistake for like years. For years, I was looking at my competitors completely wrong. I used to think that if I search, let's say, AI book for beginners, I used to think that my competitors was based on the search results on the page. So if I searched it up here, if I searched AI book, this is here, AI book for beginners, and then a bunch of books came up, I will look at the search results right here. And if it said 3,000 search results, I'm like, ooh, I have 3,000 competitors. No, you don't. If you still think the search results are your competitors, they're far from your competitors. I don't want to be mean, but these are not your competitors. You do not have 3,000 competitors, guaranteed. If you think you do have 3,000 competitors because the search result says so, search your keyword. So your main keyword, your relevant keyword, Indian cookbook for beginners. So niche, sub-niche, target audience. Search the keyword, look at the search results, and then go on the last page and see if any of those books are even relevant. Go on page 20, go on page 25, see if those books are relevant. Probably not relevant, because your competitors are not books that are irrelevant to you. If a book is irrelevant, it's not your competitor. If I'm selling an Indian cookbook for beginners, and someone searches Indian cookbook for beginners, and then on page 4, there's a Mexican cookbook for beginners, that is not your competitor. Because they are selling a completely different book than you. Completely different. It's not even the same book. So how can they be your competitor when they have an irrelevant book? It's like me saying, hey, I got a Mexican restaurant, and next to me there's an Indian restaurant. They're my competitors. It's like, and maybe it's a little bit different with real life businesses. But with this one, it's like someone who's looking for an Indian cookbook is specifically looking for an Indian cookbook. There is less likely they're going to buy a Mexican cookbook. Someone who searches cookbook might buy an Indian one, or might buy a Mexican one, or might buy a Greek one, or might buy literally any cookbook in the world. But again, we gave Amazon the correct SEO, so we're only showing off for people looking for Indian cookbooks because we're relevant. If we search it, any competitors that are irrelevant, they're not competitors. Any books that are irrelevant, not competitors. Now, any books that are not selling, are they your competitors if they're not selling? No, they're not your competitors. They're not competing with anyone. They're not selling. They can't be competitors when they're not selling. Your competitors means you're competing. It means that, there's a little bit of friction. If I'm walking around with my wife and then a homeless guy says, hey, your wife is very attractive. You think the homeless guy is my competitor? No, I highly doubt my wife is going to leave me for a homeless guy. Well, I don't know. Maybe if he's like Christian Grey in 50 Shades of Grey or kind of like that. But that guy's a billionaire, so. But I hope you get my point. I'm not trying to diss any homeless people. I'm just saying, like, they're not your competitor because it's like you're not on the same level. Just like Tesla. So Tesla, who's Tesla's competitor? Can you name another electric company? If I start an electric company, am I Tesla's competitor? Tesla doesn't even know I exist. They're not going to be like, let's analyze Barry. Let's analyze Barry's company. Let's see what he's doing. They're like, Barry's nobody. When he starts building something that works, then it's your competitor. So your competitors are not books that are not selling, and they're not irrelevant books. So who are your competitors? They are books that are selling, books that are constantly selling. And by the way, you can easily check this. If you find any books with 90,000 ABSR or below, if you don't know what ABSR is, it's literally you click on a book. If you scroll all the way down, it's going to be product information, and then you can see your ABSR. And it says the ABSR crystal clear right there on that page. Every single book has their own ABSR, and this basically is a position inside the Amazon race. And your position is based on how many sales you make a day. So 90,000 ABSR is around 1 to 2 sales a day. If you're making 1 to 2 sales a day, that can be classed as your competitor, because at least they're selling. If it's like 300,000 ABSR, then they're probably making 1 sale a week. You're not competing with them. You got nothing to gain from them. They're not even selling. They're not your competitors. They're irrelevant. It doesn't matter. So if you find a bunch of books in your niche with under 90,000 ABSR, great. Keep them, jot them down somewhere, put them in like a Google Sheets or something. They're your competitors because they are selling. Also, if they are relevant and they're selling, they are your competitors. If it's a completely different book, not your competitor. I hope that makes sense. But what do we do once we find out our competitors? Well, very simple. We analyze them. Very, very simple. Analyze your competitors. What are they doing? What are they selling? What's their USPs? What's their values? Why is their book valuable? Why are they selling? Is their marketing really good? Why are they selling? What are they selling? What's different? Do they have illustrations while everyone else doesn't have illustrations? That can be their USP. So I did a chair yoga like maybe 4 or 5 years ago. Before everyone was like, oh, everyone's doing chair yogas now. I did a chair yoga like, I think it was 4 or 5 years ago. I went in there, I did the exact same thing, looked at my competitors, only the ones that are selling and were actually selling chair yoga. No strength training for beginners, no resistance bands training, nothing like that. Only chair yoga for beginners. I looked at the ones that were selling, and what they had in common was they all had images or no images. I analyzed my competitors, and what I saw is that no one had illustrations. And then I'm thinking, if I was to buy a chair yoga book for my yaya, I don't know how to say yaya in grandma, so I want to start talking Greek now. But if I bought for my yaya is grandma in Greek. But if I bought a chair yoga book for my yaya, obviously I would want it to have illustrations personally. And I saw that none of these had illustrations. They all just had boring old people images, like sometimes black and white images. Did not look good, it looked super boring, but I wanted illustrations. So I added illustrations in my one. That gave me a USP, which is a unique selling point. So it's something unique about the book that's going to help you sell more copies. Now, obviously, you're going to sell more because your unique selling point is actually valuable. So the illustrations amplified the book, because I could show step-by-step illustrations instead of like bad images over here. So because I analyzed my competitors, I saw the weakness, and then I exploited that weakness, then great. That's how I was able to conquer that marketplace, and I was a bestseller in the chair yoga niche. But that was before I sold that business. But anyway, that's how I became a bestseller in the chair yoga niche like 4 years ago, because I had a USP, but most importantly, I analyzed my competitors. Now, when it comes to analyzing your competitors, there's really 2 main ways to do this, and it's very, very simple. The first way is their on-page marketing. So you can extract everything you can on their page, on their Amazon page. Look at the ones that are selling, click on them, and then look at their entire page. Read their description. What are they offering? If it's a cookbook, how many recipes are they offering? Are they all offering 100 recipes? Great. Now you know you can offer 150. And now because you analyze your competitors, you're making it better. You can see what they're doing right, what they're doing wrong. Go. Look at the look inside. Click on look inside. Look at their formatting. Do you like their formatting? Can you improve their formatting? Is there anything that's missing? How can you make your one better? Look at their packaging. How does the book cover fit with their A+ content and the description? What kind of angle are they going for? How are they packaging the book? Are they doing it more beginner friendly? Are they doing it more advanced? Are they doing it more posh? It's like, let's say you're selling an Indian cookbook. What does it look like? Their packaging. Is it more sophisticated? Do they have like the same font as Vogue magazine? Or do they have a font like a more thick sans serif font? Because that's going to change the overall packaging of your book. It's going to change the feel of your book. So look at their on-page marketing. Look at what they're offering. What are they giving to customers? And based on what they're giving to customers, try to figure out how you can give even more or something better, and understand the customer's problems. Figure out what your competitors are missing out on. So on-page marketing is one. The second way is just look at the reviews. The reviews will tell you everything you need to know. These are your customers. These are the people you're selling to. Look at customer reviews. They're going to tell you what they want. They're going to tell you what these guys are already doing wrong. They're also going to tell you what these guys are doing right. So essentially, they're telling you what book they want. You just have to read it and implement it. And then do the on-page marketing as well. You're going to amplify your new book even more. You're going to make a much, much better book. And now because you did the competitor analysis, you know you're making a better book. And then because you have a good book cover and good SEO, you're going to be shown in the search results correctly. People are going to click on your book. And then because you analyze it better, you analyze your competitors and you made your book better, then obviously people are going to be more inclined to buy your book. Because when you're on Amazon and you're searching for books, then you usually just open up a few of them, you compare between them, and then you pick the one that you want to buy. So competitor analysis. So now that we know where the enemy is, great. Now it's time to attack the enemy because we're solid here. We have the food in the hospital. These guys are all good. We're holding the line. We know where the enemy is. We exploited their weaknesses, so we know how we can attack them. Now it's time to attack them. So now I'm going to start bringing out the tanks. This is where it gets interesting. Look at that. That's a good tank. It looks like an alien spaceship, but you know it's a tank, so it's all good. Okay, so when it comes to attacking, it's very, very simple. Because we did the correct competitor analysis, we actually fixed our book. We do have a better book than them. So we applied everything. We have a better book. However, a customer doesn't know that we have a better book unless they buy the book. So let's say I have this circle and this is the customer. Now, your customer doesn't know how valuable your book is until you tell them, until you show them. If you don't show someone how valuable it is, then they're not going to assume it's valuable. People don't just predict if the book is valuable. They look at the marketing to figure out how valuable the book is. And whoever has the best marketing is going to get the sale. Very, very simply. Now, obviously, if you haven't done your competitor analysis, your marketing isn't going to help because you don't really have anything extra to give to the people. However, if I'm doing a how to draw book and everyone's showing you how to draw 70 drawings, or let's say 101 drawings, great. When I come and I'm like, hey, we got 202 actually, probably a nicer number. I'm going to show you how to draw 202 different drawings. That's my book, How to Draw 202 Drawings. I don't know, figures or animals or something. In my marketing, if I don't say that, people are not going to know. So what's my marketing? My description is one of them. If I don't say in my description, hey, we offer this. This is what's in the book. Then the people are not going to know. So your marketing, you have to be crystal clear on all the valuable things inside your book. Don't talk to people about non-valuable things in your book. Don't talk to them about random things. Talk to them about the valuable things, but most importantly, what do they get from it? It's all about them. I'm going to change they to them. It's all about them. What do they get from your book? If I'm selling 202 drawings instead of 101, in this book, you're going to find over 202 drawings, so you never run out of things to draw. So you become a better artist. So you can do this. This is a transformation you're going to receive. It's all about them. Stop putting in your descriptions and your A+ content as well. I see this happening with A+ content as well. Stop talking about the book and the features of the book. Talk about the benefits. What do they get from it? Why your one? What is that going to do for them? If it's how to attract women, don't say, hey, this book is going to show you how to attract women. Say, hey, this book is going to show you how to attract women in order for you to not be lonely anymore. Now that's the benefit. You're talking about them. Always add the word you. You, your kids. Your husband's going to love your cooking after you buy this Indian cookbook. I hope that makes sense. Obviously, that's not the exact line you're going to add, but here, I'm just here to guide you. Again, if I told you everything step by step, like super, super crystal clear, it's going to take over 20 hours. And I don't have 20 hours to share all of this on YouTube. But marketing, super, super important. So you have your description, you have your A+ content. This is how you show your marketing, and it's very important. You want to show as much as possible in your marketing, as well as value. You want to show as much value as possible in your marketing. Show the valuable features of your book and why it's valuable to them. Why it's valuable to your specific customer. So yes, talk about the features, but mostly talk about the benefits for them. They're the most important person. They're the ones that are going to give you money. And then one extra bonus thing is the price. So the price of your book is so important. One of the biggest things I see is people overprice their book. So they literally publish the book. They price it at like $19.99 right from the start. And they're like, Barry, I'm not getting sales. And I'm like, okay, why don't you try lowering your price? Maybe you get sales at a cheaper price. Maybe your book is not worth $19.99. Like, your book might actually be worth $19.99, but because your marketing and your A+ content, your description, none of this is done correctly, because you haven't shown the value of the book. You haven't shown that this book is actually worth $19.99. You haven't shown it effectively. People don't trust it enough to give you $19.99. So if your marketing shows that the book is only worth $12.99, then when you lower your price to $12.99, you'll probably start making sales, because that's how powerful your marketing is. Obviously, if you improve your marketing, then you'll be able to increase your price as well, because it's all about perceived value. Everyone is sharing the same information. It's just the way you present that information inside your book. It's the packaging of your book that matters most of all. So look at your price, look at your description, look at your A+ content. Are you truly showing how valuable your book is? And also, if you are, competitor analysis. Go take a look at your competitors. What are they doing? What does their description look like? What do their A+ content looks like? What do they have in the book that you don't? What do they show off that you don't? What is their price? Are they pricing it lower than you? Oh, they are. They are pricing it lower and they're making more sales. Well, great. Price your one lower. Let's see if you make more sales. Anyway, I hope that makes sense. And I hope you can tell that the coffee is actually hitting me this time. Man, this whiteboard is horrible, but we're almost finished. One final step. Now that we launched the tanks, I took away the tanks, but it's okay. Now that we launched the tanks, everything's good. We're attacking them. We have good marketing, because that's very, very important. There's this one final thing. This is how we actually win the war. This is the final stages of the war. Now, obviously, everything we talked about is super important for the war. If we mess up here, everything else collapses. So if our frontline soldiers miss or lose the line, great. These guys are dead. We don't even have time to analyze our competitors. We don't have time to look at the enemy, because the enemy is already in our territory, killing us. And then also the tanks. Ooh, until the tanks come out, we're already all dead. This is like, we're going to be rushing to take the tanks out. And tanks are usually for attacking, not for defense, I think. Again, don't really know anything about war. I've been a soldier before, but I haven't been to war. And hopefully I don't have to go to war. But anyway, the final step. I know the whiteboard is like super black as well, but this is the final step, so it's all good. Now that everything is done, now, because we're gaining on our enemy, so we know where they are, we sent out the tanks and everything in their position, and then we're attacking them. They're losing their frontline soldiers, and they're losing their food in the hospital. And we know their weaknesses, and we're exploiting their weaknesses, and we're attacking them. Great. Now it's time to really secure the deal, destroy everything, and conquer the land. And how do we do that? This is where we send bombs and missiles. So we're going to send all the bombs and missiles. Hopefully I can draw a bomb here. It doesn't look like a tree. Kind of like this. This is a bomb. Boom. And then missiles. I can't draw a missile, but you guys know what a missile looks like. But anyway, this is where we send the bombs and missiles. And what is this? This is simple. This is Amazon ads. Now, this is the final step, because Amazon ads won't work unless everything here is set correctly. If everything beforehand is not set correctly, do not expect Amazon ads to work for you, especially if your book cover is not good. If your book cover is not good, nothing is going to work anyway, and then you're just going to be losing money on this. Or sometimes you might actually try to spend money, and you wouldn't even be able to spend as much money as you want. You might want to spend $20 a day, but Amazon only allows you to spend like $3. You're not getting impressions because your SEO is probably not so good. You're probably not getting clicks because your book cover is not so good. So many things that can happen. But again, if we did everything just like we spoke about in this video, this is what I'm actually using with my clients and my books, and it's working very, very effectively, then Amazon ads will start working as well. Now, when it comes to Amazon ads, I'm not going to go super in depth into it because there's better videos on this channel. I don't have a lot of time left. I think this video is already getting too long, and I have been rambling quite a lot, but it's okay. It's just a coffee. But Amazon ads, what we want to do is we do not want to go super broad. We only want to go super targeted, especially in the beginning. Whatever back-end keywords we gave it before with our sub-niche, our niche, and our target audience, those are the ones we're going to target. What I would recommend, what I see that works best, is I really, really focus on the purest keywords. Not the purest, but the most hyper-relevant keywords. And then I throw money on this, because at least I'm throwing money on ones that are the highest chance to convert into a sale. So if you gave me an option to spend $100 on the word cookbook or on the word Indian cookbook, I would pick Indian cookbook because it's more relevant to my book if I'm studying an Indian cookbook. If you ask me Indian cookbook for beginners or Indian cookbook for kids, well, if my book is an Indian cookbook for kids, then I would want to throw money on the kids one. I could throw a little bit of money on the beginners one just to see how it works, but I would want to put more money into the most relevant ones. Now, I've had books that reached $1,000 a month with literally like 5 keywords. You don't need a lot of keywords, you just need accurate keywords. Because 5 keywords alone, in fact, 1 keyword alone can bring you like 300 sales in a month. 1 keyword alone. As long as it's the right keyword and it's relevant, and obviously you have this system in place. So you don't need hundreds of keywords to make thousands of dollars. You just need the right keywords. You want the relevant ones. You want the hyper relevant ones. You want the ones that someone's searching for to find exactly your book. And then because you did the competitor analysis and your marketing is correct, it's going to click on other people's books and they're going to pick your one because your one is the best one because you did everything correctly. So we're going to focus on very hyper targeted keywords. Sometimes it might be 15, sometimes it might be 20 keywords. So I'm going to have my keyword campaigns, and I shouldn't be giving away my strategy, but I'll tell you exactly how I set up my campaigns. I have my keyword campaigns, which is usually the 15 or 20 keywords. It will be one campaign. If it's two groups of keywords, I want to separate it into two campaigns. Now, why would I separate groups of keywords? If I have a how to draw book, then some people might search how to draw book and other people might search learn to draw. So I'm going to have how to draw animals for kids, how to draw easy animals for kids, easy how to draw book for kids animals, things like that. That's going to be one campaign with all the how to draw. And then I might do my keyword research and see that there's loads of learn to draw. Learn to draw animals easy for kids. Learn to draw animals, blah, blah, blah for kids. Learn to draw book for kids, animals, blah, blah, blah. So now because I see that there's multiple learn to and multiple how to, I want to separate them into their own campaigns. And then that way I can track very easily which ones are working better. Is how to working better or is learn to working better? That's only if there are different groups of keywords. If there's not, and you only have like short stories for seniors, there's not really many keywords that you can have. It's like short stories for seniors, short stories for old people. I don't know. There's not a lot of keywords. That's one of the niches that I had where I only had like 5 keywords. But again, this was like a few years ago. But again, it still works now. I've still seen people do thousands of dollars with very, very, very few keywords, as long as the keywords are correct and this system is in place. But I'm going to have the campaigns. I'll show you my campaigns. And these campaigns, they do work for literally any book as long as it's in the correct niche and then all of these are correct. Don't put these campaigns I'm going to tell you onto a book with a really bad book cover and say, Barry, your ad campaigns don't work. No, your book cover doesn't work. Your book probably doesn't work. There's probably a bunch of other things that don't work. Now you might be saying, yeah, but that sounds a little bit cocky. How do you know it's going to work for me? I've tested it with hundreds of people and it works. If the book is good, it works. There's no reason for it not to work because Amazon wants to make way more money than you want to make. Amazon is more inclined to make money. Amazon wants to make money. So if you're going to run Amazon ads, Amazon wants your Amazon ads money, but Amazon also wants to make money from your book. So if your book isn't good, then Amazon doesn't really want to push you with Amazon ads because they don't just want your Amazon ads money. They want your Amazon ads money and your money for the sales that you're making. So if you come to Amazon and say, hey, I'll give you loads of Amazon ads money, but my book is not very good, then Amazon is not just going to take the Amazon ads money. That's not a lot of money. They would much rather take both the money instead of just the Amazon ads money, but you're not making any sales. They would rather pick someone that is going to give them Amazon ads money and they're going to give them sales money because they're just going to make more money overall. So if this part doesn't work, then your ads won't work either because why would they work? Why would Amazon give you better positions? Why would Amazon show you higher? Why would Amazon allow people to click on your book if it never sells? Doesn't make any sense. That's not how you run a business. But anyway, here's what I would do. I would have my keyword campaign. I'm going to have everything in broad match because that's going to give Amazon the highest leverage. That way it's going to be able to find other keywords related to it. It will expand your indexing. I'm not going to go super in depth into it because I don't have a lot of time. And then I would pick everything fixed bids. But Barry, why would you use fixed bids and not down only? Because fixed bids is just way more control. Down only, you're limiting your success. There's ways that you can use down only. There's times where you can use down only. But if I want to have complete control over my campaigns and I want to know exactly what's happening, then I would just start with fixed bids. And then later on as the data gathers, I might want to switch it down only. But at the end of the day, it all depends on the data. So if you have enough sales data, then you can change your bidding strategy and then it can still work effectively. However, if you're just launching new campaigns, even on an old book, this still works on an old book. As long as this system is in place, this will work. If you put the final piece of the puzzle on a puzzle that hasn't been built, no, that's a terrible analogy. But what I'm trying to say is if you just try to put the last step on a book that doesn't follow the other 5 steps we talked about, 1, 2, 3, 4, I think it's 4 steps we talked about, then I'm sorry, I can't help you. I'm trying to give you the whole thing for everything to work. So if you just take one part of it and apply it and it doesn't work, I'm sorry. It's not my fault. I'm trying my best to help as many people as possible. And I'm trying my best to help you out as well. But again, you have to put in the effort, you have to put in the action.